Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I've got a bit of a different video today. I was just about to say I've never done one of these, but I have. I'm basically going to be doing a subject specific revision video, so I'm going to be like talking you through all the different subjects that I study and basically telling you how I revise for them. If you'd also like me to do like a revision Q&A, how to stay motivated, I don't know, something like that, either leave me questions for a revision Q&A in the comment section, or you can just request certain videos for me to do. So I'm in year 11 at the minute. I've just done my mocks. I'm predicted always stars. Don't think I'm gonna get them. I will try, don't worry, but yeah, I don't think I'm gonna get them. Basically I just wanted to say that just so you knew what type of, I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna leave times also for all the subjects in the description box if you wanted to skip to a particular subject on how to study for it and how to revise. Yeah, without further ado, let's get on with the video. Okay, starting out with maths. What a fun subject. Maths I personally find quite hard to revise for. My number one tip, I guess, is if your teacher or someone at your school does like after school maths revision sessions, 110% go to it, because my teacher started doing them, I want to say at the beginning of year 11, and they have helped me so much. Even if like every week we do it for an hour after school, and even if like say we're doing something I already understand, I already know how to do, just go anyway, because it's revision at the end of the day. It's going to help you and it's going to benefit you, and even if you understand it, you're just going to be practicing it and kind of just like confirming you know it. So that is like my number one tip. If you don't have that at your school, I guess you could kind of ask your teacher like politely if you could have a revision session or something after school every week in the run up to your exams, I don't know. But yeah, that's my biggest tip. For me, maths is quite hard because in year 10 I had a really bad teacher. Usually you carry the same teacher through GCSE, so they stay the same in year 10 and year 11. At my school that's what they do anyway. But my year 10 teacher was really bad, and thankfully he left and we've got such a good teacher now. Like, I think she's really good, I learn a lot of her. But in year 10 I kind of just gave up almost, because I was like, this is ridiculous, he can't teach and whatever. If you have a bad teacher or you don't get on with your teacher's like way of teaching, do not do what I did, because I've had to revise so much for maths. I've had to put so much extra effort in now. Our whole class was in the same position, so our teachers had to reteach us year 10 and year 11 in less than a year, like all in 1 year. It's just a lot more hard work. Maths is one of them subjects, if you don't understand something, you have got to ask someone. It's really hard to try and kind of figure it out and teach it to yourself, so 100% go ask someone for help if you don't understand it. The thing I find most helpful is past papers. However, we've obviously started the 9-to-1 like grading scheme thingy, I don't know. It's basically a new specification, so there isn't past papers. Some different like places have released like sample papers and stuff, which are helpful, but they're not as hard as they need to be. That's what my teacher said anyway. They're going to be a lot harder in the real exam, but still do the past papers, because it's not going to change that much. They've made it harder, but the past papers, like, it's still maths, you know, like it's not that different. So that's what I find most useful. We have like a whole book of past papers that we get from our school that we do, and either mark it using a mark scheme at home, or if you mark it in class, the questions you don't understand, like, to go home and try and do it. So like, say if you didn't understand like a simultaneous equation question, or like a circle theorem question or something like that, then what I find really useful is these books. I'm going to mention these a lot throughout this video. They're by CGP. I think it's for both AQA and Edexcel. I'm not sure, they might do it for other examples, I'm not really sure. So like, this page is simultaneous equations. If I don't understand it, or if I like say I can't do the harder questions, I read how to do it in this, and then they have like a workbook with loads of questions in, and for every one of the topics they have practice questions, which is so helpful. And yes, that looks like a lot of work, and it is, but it works. So yeah, I'll just like practice the questions in that. I always look through past papers, like if I'd done them ages ago. The mocks we did at the end of year 10, like before my recent mocks, I would look through them, and the questions I couldn't do in year 10, I would look to see if I could do now. If I couldn't do them now, then I'd like learn how to do it, kind of thing. Yeah, the way I revise maths is I go to my after school revision sessions and I use these books pretty much, and just look at past papers and basically just look through the syllabus, and the topics you're not so sure on how to do, just practice them. that is my best tip for you, really. Moving on to English, I'm gonna start out with language because English language, in my opinion, is so much easier than English literature. I'm doing the new like 9-to-1 grading thing. English has been made too hard in my opinion, but I find language like reasonably easy still. For English language, I have 2 books that I like to use. They are pretty similar, if I'm honest with you. This one, which is by My Revision Notes, this goes in a lot more detail. I just prefer the layout of this book than this one, but they're both really good. I watch a YouTube channel called, I think it's like Mr. Bruff or something like that. I'll link this all down below. He basically talks you through every question and how to answer them. So if you go onto his like playlist section, there'll be a playlist for English language, all the different literature texts, things like that. And he talks through how to answer every question for the English language papers. They are really long videos and I find I get a bit bored sometimes, but I just kind of read through this and watch that and then make notes on it. English language you can't really revise as such. So I just make notes on how to answer each of the questions and how to answer them well. And then for my exams, I will just keep reading over this to make sure I know how to answer the question. Other than that, the only thing you can do is practice by past papers. And another book I have, I literally haven't used this yet, but I probably will nearer the time. I have this workbook which has stuff in. I've not actually used that yet, but these tend to have questions at the back that you can answer, like sample questions, which are really good. I'd recommend these 2 books probably more. But yeah, you can watch them YouTube videos. I find them really helpful, and just make notes on each of the sections really. I feel like I could talk so much about English because it is hard. There is so much to it. For English literature, I don't even want to think about it because I haven't started my English literature revision properly. In the literature paper 1, you'll do a 19th century text. So mine's A Christmas Carol, and I love that because it's so easy, honestly. I feel like I've just jinxed myself saying that, you know, but never mind. Again, I have 2 books. These York Notes books are supposed to be really good. Like I said, I haven't properly started my revision for it yet. BBC Bite Size is really good. I haven't looked at my other texts that I study on there yet, but I know for A Christmas Carol, they had so much on there. The first thing is you just need to know it quite well. You need to know the storyline, you need to know what happens, and then you basically just need to know the characters, the themes that come up throughout the book, and then also quotes to go with them, because that's what your question will be on. It will either be on a character or a theme. So you basically just need to know a ton of quotes so you can write a lot about the links to a lot of the themes and a lot of the characters. So in paper 1 you do a 19th century text, and you also do Shakespeare. Mine's Romeo and Juliet, which I hate. I absolutely hate it. I can't stand it. Again, the same kind of applies for all of them. And then in paper 2, I think they call it like a modern text, so mine's History Boys. Also hate it. But yeah, the same applies for that. And then you do poetry, which I've started this revision and I'm not enjoying it, to say the least. This book saved my life with poetry. Oh my gosh. You'll obviously get given your anthology, and then depending on which like cluster of poems you're doing from this, I'm doing Power and Conflict, so you can get books depending on which like cluster you're doing of poems. This has all of the poems annotated for you, which makes life so much easier. So then I went back over all my notes that I did and I just added to them. I just basically went back over and added to all of my notes that I'd done on all of the different poems. And then this also has in it the themes, so like the power of humans, power of nature, which poems like they relate to, which poems link with each other and are similar. In the front it also has a table of themes. Honestly, this book is so helpful. It has practice questions as well, I think. Yeah, it has practice questions on it too. Oh my gosh, yeah. Basically just need to know what happens in each of the poems. Like you need to be able to, like, as soon as you see the name of it, you need to be able to remember what happens in it. I'm just going to learn quotes from all of the poems. You don't get this in the exam, so you need to know quotes from all of the poems that relate to all of the themes, like as many of the themes as possible, because in the exam you'll get asked to compare one of the poems about a certain theme they will choose and compare it to a similar poem. They might ask you to compare like Ozymandias, which has themes of power, to another poem that also has that theme. So then you'd have to choose like My Last Duchess, and you'd have to be able to write about it with quotes. So yeah, quotes is probably the most important thing, but you also need to know about structure, form and language. So like, what's the structure like? Does it use iambic pentameter? Is it like a dramatic monologue? I don't know, stuff like that basically. I always feel like with English revision it's hard. I feel like I'm never doing the right thing, but you just kind of got to like go for it and just keep practicing it, because that's the only way. And then the other thing is unseen poetry, which to be honest, you can't revise for, you've just got to practice it. So yeah, if you wanted me to do like a whole separate video on English language and literature nearer the time of the exams, like once I've practiced it a bit more, I don't mind doing that, because it's literally all what I've just said to you is basically what my teachers told me to do. So, which I honestly, I don't know what I'd do about that, because like English scares me, I swear. Moving on to science, I do triple science, so I do chemistry, physics and biology all separately. If you do just like double science, so you do the core science and the additional, to be honest, if you are revising, I personally find it so much easier to revise them separately. If I did double, like I don't think I could sit there and try and revise all of them together at the same time. Like I'd get so confused, because chemistry, physics and biology all are very different. Although they do overlap, they're very different, so I feel like I couldn't revise them all together. Anyway, I have the triple science books for each of the sciences, and as you can see, I basically just put these little like sticky things in there. I've only done chapter 2 of the sticky labels, I haven't done the other 2 chapters yet. These books are amazing, I cannot recommend these enough. For science at GCSE anyway, I don't know about A level, but you basically just need to learn everything that are in these books, you just need to know it. So it's like with chemistry, when I sit down to revise it, I will read through the chapter that I'm learning. I just did chapter 2 for my mock, so I've been revising that. Every slot I had for chemistry on my revision timetable, I'd basically just read through the chapter. So chemistry I find quite hard, so I've started like making notes as I'm going through it, and through the whole of chapter 2, literally I didn't even make that many notes. As I go through them, I just make notes of the most important points and highlight the like key bits I need to know. Science is a lot simpler, although it's hard. Literally, you just have to know everything in these books and basically just do past papers, because they can only ask you so many questions so many times, if you get what I mean. Like they're going to run out of questions sooner or later. So I think just like look at the mark schemes and look at what like type of answer they want you to write. Also for science, I do like cue cards, I haven't got them with me, but I don't do it for everything. So I find if you start doing cue cards, you end up doing it for everything and it just gets too much and too overwhelming. So for example, in physics, I make cue cards on all the different like circuit symbols, just because I forget them, but I don't do it for like everything, because like I said, it would just get too much. And I just do that for the bits I find hardest. So like biology, I've done a few for as well. Moving on to German, this kind of applies for any language, I guess. Literally the only way I revise for German is using Memrise. Memrise is so good. You can download Memrise on your phone too. I use an AQA German GCSE vocab list. I'll link this in the description if I remember to. Hopefully I will. You basically just work your way up through the levels of the different topics. So like at the minute, I'm on food and drink, all the different topics that they do, there's like a vocab list on here for it. Also in one of Eve Bennett's videos, she linked her own Memrise thing I think that she'd made, so I'll link that in the description too. I haven't done that, but that was all her vocab list as well. If you're doing the new like GCSE for German, I don't really know how to help you, because I think that's so hard, I don't really know, but yeah, you basically just need to learn loads of vocab. So I do this, and this is one of my favourite subjects to revise for, because I literally just go on my phone or laptop and I just have to type in the vocab over and over again. And the only other way is again do past papers, because once you like start doing past papers, you'll just get used to the style of question and the type of thing they ask. With German, obviously you have the 60% of coursework, so you're writing and speaking. Again, I could do a whole separate video on that if you wanted. The next subject is Textiles. Again, I have one of these books. Textiles is also 60% coursework, so obviously that's really important, but the exams are pretty important too. For Textiles, again, you basically just need to learn this book, and it looks a lot more than what it is. Some of this book is like exam techniques and stuff, and some of it's to do with your coursework and that. You basically just need to learn everything in this. I'd really recommend getting this. So what I do again is when I'm revising, I read through the book and then I go onto an app that I have called Quizlet. Quizlet is so good. It's basically like revision cards or cue cards, whatever you want to call them, but on your phone, which I find so much better, because if I'm out or like I'm in the car going somewhere, I can just literally get this app up and do my revision on this. Like I don't have to carry cue cards around with me. I literally can do this whenever and wherever I want. And I have like the questions on one side and obviously the answer on the other side. So like name the commercial dyeing techniques, or what's thermochromic fabric, stuff like that. And I just have to, you basically just have to practice it and remember it. And again with that, past papers. Also on March the 1st, at least this year it is, I think it is most years, they released the theme. So on March 1st, you'll find out the theme of the section A of your paper, because section A is basically the drawing, and designing section. Depending on the past paper you do, it will be a different theme. Our mock, we just did art deco. Obviously on March 1st they'll announce what this year's theme is, and that will basically be what you have to plan your design around. So basically textiles, I just learned this book and make notes of it on Quizlet. Media is pretty similar, to be honest. I just use my book in class. This is the only one out of all my subjects where I actually use the notes I've made in class. Literally don't touch my books for any of my other subjects. Again, media exams, themes change every year. So my theme this year is newspapers and radio news. So basically you would have learned so many topics all throughout year 10 and year 11, and you only do one of them in the end. So now in class we are basically going back over and learning newspapers and radio news again. So in class I literally just make notes on it, and that's what I use to revise. We just make notes and then I go back over it and I basically just highlight the most important points. And yeah, that's all I do. We just do like practice questions, stuff like that. And then like textiles, in media I also use Quizlet. I basically just put the questions in and the answers. So I just like make up questions like what's the uses and gratifications theory, or like name the middle market newspapers, what's news values, things like that. I can do the little cards on there if I want and just like answer them as I'm doing it, things like that. Or it can like test you on it. You can also do like a matching game, so like you have to match up the right answers, things like that. So yeah, I find that the best way to revise really. Media, you don't really have to know as much as other subjects, to be honest. I find it a lot easier. And my final subject that I study is art. If you do art, you know that there isn't really a proper exam. My exam's on the 9th and 10th of May, so it's basically like around the same time as my other exams. It's not a written exam, it's obviously a practical exam. So basically for the exam you get given a new sketchbook and you basically just have to fill it up. So you'll get given a theme. My theme is beginnings and or end. That was released like a little while ago. We've just been given that theme and we've got 9 weeks now, so probably less than that now, to fill up this sketchbook and obviously fill up the whole thing. So you basically just have to do plans, ideas and bits like that in your sketchbook, and do drawings, paintings, oil pastels, whatever in your sketchbook. Basically show off all your skills, and then at the end of it you have a 2-day exam. You do 5 hours on each day, so you basically have just a 10-hour exam where you have to go and do a practical final piece, whether that be painting. You can do whatever you want, and yeah, it just has to basically link back to your theme. That's worth 40%. So I have like another folder which is massive, full of all my artwork, which is 60% of my final grade. I haven't really done that much yet. I haven't really done any drawings or anything yet, but I've just done some like, a good way to start is by doing a mind map, then do a mood board, and then I haven't done it yet, but on this page it's going to be a page of artist research. I'm going to do about 8 different artists, just get one of their artwork, put their name and write what I like about it, just like kind of analyse their art. It's just so hard to show you, oh my gosh. Then I just continued studying other artists basically. The only thing I can really say, like the only advice I could really give, was to not jump to your final idea too quickly. I've done that throughout my coursework, and that's basically the only thing my teacher ever says to me, is that I always jump to my final idea too quickly. So this time I've done so many ideas, like even if I haven't put them in here yet, there are so many different ideas that I'm going to do just to show I haven't jumped to my final idea basically. I think once I get my like grade back from art and that, and then I bring my coursework home, I might do like a video on it, not of me talking, just like showing my work to kind of give any of you inspiration if you're doing art, because I find them videos so useful. If you just type into YouTube like GCSE art folder or something like that, so many of them come up and I love watching them because it gives me inspiration. So yeah, I might make one of them once I found out what grade I got in art, because I feel like that might be useful to some of you. So yeah, that is all the subjects I study. I feel like this video was so long and I've spoke so much. That's about it for each of the subjects individually. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want me to do more revision videos, like I said, you can just leave me comments, tell me what type of video you want to see. Whatever video, I don't mind doing it. So yeah, I really hope this helped at least one of you. If it did, let me know. And that's all. I hope you all do well in your exams. We can all have a nice little chat in the comments. And yeah, that's about it. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!